Now it is time for us to delve into CSS transitions and animation. We use CSS transitions and animation to bring liveliness, to add life to the web page, to make it interactive and dynamic, not the much you do with JavaScript. All right, without much ado, let us delve into it and then you see what it is all about and what it could do for us. I'm going to create a new file and then name it CSS transitions. Remember in the last video, we talked about CSS grid where I gave you an exercise to perform and I wish and I hope you did it. At least you could see the little addition I made from the previous video. The header has already been fixed. I have already added some content inside the header such that as it is fixed, if I'm scrolling the content of the page, it is going beneath the header. I'm yet to load some other content inside it. So after this course, after this tutorial on CSS transitions and animation, I expect that you should be able to load some content on this web page, integrate all we've been doing, all you've been learning using Flexbox, using CSS grid and position, as well as the semantic tags we've talked about, typography, and then these CSS transitions and animation we're about to talk about here. Stay tuned. Enjoy this tutorial. Okay, so let's delve into it immediately. I'm going to create a new file here, and I will name the file transitions and animations. Transitions and animation.css.html anyway. .html. I would also like to create external file for this because I'll be doing a whole lot of work. So I will create the external CSS file so that I will link it with the same name, transition and all right, so I'm naming it with transition and animation dot CSS. I expect that by now you should have known how to link your CSS to your HTML. Okay, let's create the HTML basic structure. Usual way, let's name this transition and animation. Then let's link the file. Since I'm not in the same file directory, I'm using the double dots to link it and then get the CSS, the transition and animation.css. All right. So let's quickly get at it. I'm going to create a header here. And inside the header, I will name it using H1. Transition and animation effects. Then I'll go to the main. All right, so inside this main tag, of course, main is one of the semantic tags. Let me use this generic tag div, but with a class name box. Box. For this tutorial, this box is gonna have two class names, each of them. But for this very first one, what I want the user to see is simple transition effect. May I use this period to explain this? Transition in CSS, what it does that it makes effect on the CSS property or CSS element to happen smoothly, such that, and it happens over a set duration, over a set period of time, so that without CSS transition, changes on CSS properties tend to happen instantly. You will see it with this very first one I'm gonna do now. So let's load this using the live server. So open with live server, CSS transition and animation effects as the header. Then simple transition effect is the one you saw there. Let me copy this and let's view it using my choice of browser, Google Chrome. All right. So we are still seeing it here, transition, animation, and animation effects, simple transition effects. Now for this box, I'll give it another class, simple transition. So simple transition will be the name of this box. I would like to create this box into more, maybe about 10 or more places. All right, I just want to be seeing this gap. I don't know how many it is now, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Maybe this 12 we do, but I'll be needing to change the content. For this second one, what I would want the user to be, what I would want to do here, I'll use this slide left name. This one would be slide right. However, I expect the user to see here slide in from the left. So let's do that for this, slide in from the right as well. Slide in from the right. I expect you should know what this is gonna give us, where it will be tending towards. So to create boxes such that for the first one, there is a simple transition effect I want you to notice there. For the second one, I expect the box to slide in from the left, while the third one will slide in from the right. All right, so let's go to the next one. I expect this one to slide up. This should slide down. This should maybe scale. Let's say scale up or thereabout. Okay. All right, this one should be scale up. This is gonna be scale down. Let this be fade in. The important thing is that all these boxes are still having a common class name, which is box. So I would want this very one to be rotate. All right. So these are some of the effects we see using transition and animation in CSS. So this one should be slide up from bottom. I want to copy this. Let this one be slide down from top. You could see the effects since I'm using live server. Let this one be scale up effect. And this is gonna be scale down effect. And this is gonna be fading effect. I am not having fade out here, so I want you, after watching this video, to show me how you can gain this fade out effect. Let this be rotate effect. So after this rotate effect, I would want this one to be hover. I think hover effect. Let this be hover effect. Let the user, what the user sees here should be hover here. Hover here with a smiling face. So let me use this. In case you don't know how to insert this, on your Windows, hold the start button and press dot. You should be able to see some of these emojis. I want to comment this part because the next is gonna be more of multiple animation effects. So this last two, I'm reserving it to show you how you can add multiple animation effects. So stay tuned. Then this part, this last one is gonna be, circle. What the user is gonna see here is a bouncing circle. All right, just stay tuned as we are gradually cooking this. Then this last one, I want it to be wiggle, 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 wiggle. All right, hover to wiggle. All right, I want to add also an emoji here. Let me use this. All right, so I think I'm done with what I want to do on this part. On this part, maybe let me just add footer. So let the footer here be copyright. Let me use this emoji here. Gabitech. All rights reserved. 2025. All right. Okay, let me just do this with H1 element so that it will be a bit bold. Or let me use H3. H3. So in between it, I'm going to paste this. All right, you could see it. So let's quickly delve into the CSS part and go on with the work. Okay, for the general styling. All right. First of all, I will call the body. Let me say text align should be center. Then let me say padding should be 0, margin 0 as well. You're noticing the effect immediately. All right, another thing I would like to add here is the font family that I want to be showing. Font family, I didn't get Google Fonts this time around, so I would like just to use this Cambria. Any of them, yeah, this Cambria, I think is okay. Then I would like to add background color on the entire body. Let me use this as F4. I think F4 will do. As F4, F4. Yeah, sort of gray. I think I'm done with what I want to do on the body. Let me get the header as well as the footer at the same time. So header, comma, footer. This way you can call more than one element, and the effect you're adding or I'm adding on the header is going to be affected on the footer as well. So for the header, let it have a background color of 00808. Maybe this is gonna give sort of, let me know if this is gonna be a green color. The boxes, these different boxes, Remember, all of them are having the same class name box, but there is a class that differentiates them. So let me get those boxes by calling box. Let me give it a height of about 20 VH. Is that much? Let me reduce it. I think 10 VH we do. VH is view height. VH is view height. Let me add a padding of about 20 pixel. 20 pixel. You may not notice some of them until I add a border to it, even though I may not need the border. But let me just add the border so that you'll be seeing the circumference of these boxes. 2 pixel. Let me make it solid. And let me use red, at least to get each boxes. The next one I would like to add here is font size. Font size. Let it be 1.5 rem. All right. I think that's good. I'll also add font weight to it, so it will be bold. Font weight, not font family now. So font weight, use 700 or you write bold, that works. Then the next thing I would like to add here is background color. Let the background color be of course, if I use #FFF now, you will not see anything again because the background color, not color now. So the background color is going to be white, no problem. But then the color itself remains this until I change it in the individual boxes. Of great importance is the width I want to give to these boxes. Let it take a width of about 80%, and then a max width of about 300 pixels. All right. Maybe you won't notice it, the changes now. This is how you see it when I maximize this page. So let me add one other important thing that I need to do here, border radius. Let the boxes maintain a border radius that is curved edges of about 10 pixels. And lastly, what I need here, I do not need this border. I'm going to use box shadow to get the circumference of each box shadow of each box. So it's gonna have a box shadow of about, let's the first one be 0, 4 pixels for the dimensions I want, and then 10 pixels. Let me give it a color of ash 000246. There's a B1. Yeah. Then let me comment this color now. All right, hope you're following. Each of these boxes are now having the box shadow. I would need to add margin that will differentiate each box from another. So let it have a margin of about 40 pixels top and bottom and auto left and right. All right. You now see how each of them appears. Very simple boxes. Each of them. All right. So stay tuned. One other thing I would want to do is to call the parent element holding these boxes. I hope you know the parent element holding the boxes now. If you don't know, let's get it from the HTML. It is the main. That's the parent element. So I would want to call it before the boxes. So let me call main and then let me display it as flex. Then you could see it. What I want to do now is to say flex wrap. See the effect of displaying it as flex. All of them align themselves in this side by side, which is in the row, in one row. All right, I do not need this. I would like to add flex wrap to make them wrap around themselves. So flex wrap. Instead of saying no wrap, I will say wrap. If I use wrap reverse, you would see what will happen. The last one became the first one. So the last one assumed the first, but I don't want that flex wrap reverse. So I'm gonna use just simple wrap. All right. So you could see it. Okay, so it remains for me to begin adding the animations and the transition effects. For this first one, I'm gonna call it with the peculiar class that it has that is different from other classes, and then add its simple transition effect I want it to notice. Okay, so for the boxes, I would also want to make the cursor to be pointer. Are you following? So I would want to make the cursor to be pointer so that when it is on top of it, you will see the hand display on top of the boxes. All right, so let me make the cursor to be pointer as I said here. Cursor pointer, just like this. When I hover on it, when my cursor is on top of it, it becomes as pointer. So let me get the first one. I'm getting it as simple transition. I need to copy it lest I make mistake in the name. So do same in your own. And remember, when you are calling a class, you add dot in CSS. If it is an ID, if it's an ID, you're going to add hash. So for this simple transition, I want it to take a background color of being transparent. So it's no longer taking white color as other ones. So it's now being transparent, and I would want the color to be black as it is. So hash 000. Then let me add a padding of maybe 10 pixels top and bottom, 20 pixels left and right. That's just to make it peculiar, let it be different. So the next thing I would want to add is to give it a border of about 2 pixels solid. And then let me use this green color that I'm already using here as 008008. Then the last thing I would want to do here, before this, I would want to get the simple transition to hover on it. So let me get the hover effect so that when I hover on it, there should be a background color, a deeper background color of hash 033 A03. I think that's a deeper green. That will give us the color I want here. Let the color no longer be black, but white. All right. So there is a transition from black to white when I hover on it. Look at it. You could see it's happening instantly without the transition effect. Now, let me add a simple transition effect here so that you will see its effect. So, transition, let background color be 1 second, and let it move with ease in out. You can see it now. It's no longer that instant. Ease in out. Let me also do the same for the color. Let me get the color and make it 1 second as well. Ease in out. All right. You could see even the simple change on the color, no longer very instant. Okay, that having been done, let us delve into the next one, which is slide in from left. So slide in from left. Okay, for the slide in from left, so let's get it. And I'll copy it from this HTML part, slide left. That's the class name. It's good you copy it because if you don't call the right name, the effect on your CSS will not be reflected. Okay, so sliding from left, the format I want to give to that box is, in addition to what I already gave to it in the box, I want to add transform. Now, pay attention. In transform, you have this perspective, rotate 3D, and all this and all that. The one I want to get at this point is translate. So let's get translate, and it's gonna be to translate on x-axis, at least for now. So we have translating on X and Y axis. In this case, I want to get translate on X axis and let it translate minus 100%, minus 100%. And then it is at this point, I'm going to add animation property. So let this animation take the name slide left. So let it take the name slide left. It is so sliding in from the left. You could see it's already moved. Slide in from left. Then the next thing I'll do is to add how many seconds it will take. Let me make it so obvious, increasing it to 7 seconds. Then let it take the direction forwards. All right, sorry about that. Let's get using at keyframes. So at keyframes, the identifier is what I have here, which is the name, animation name. So I will copy this slide effect, paste it in this identifier. So slide left. What does this slide? Once it is sliding left, it will move from what? So let it move from transform, moving from the original position I gave to it. I want to copy this. So transform, moving from here to another position. So it is moving from translate on x-axis to, let me copy this. Here it is going to be to 0. So being at the normal position where it's going to be. You could see it sliding in using the 7 seconds I added. I hope you're following at this point. So with this at keyframes, and once you get the name, that animation name you gave to it, you are good to go. Now, let me do this also for the slide right. So I've copied that so that will make this faster. I will get the correct name I have for the second one. This is going to be slide right. Copy it. Then paste it here. Slide right. I'm going to change this to right. And for the slide right, it's not going to be minus 100%. It's going to be 100%. You could see it moving away from the 100%. Here, it is going to be 100% and 0. Let the animation name here be slide right. I expect you should see that move as well. So moving away from 100% to 0%. Let's increase this. Reload the page. Okay. The slide right is not yet given. Okay, we've not gotten the name correctly. You could see it here. All right. So while the left is moving this way, slide right is coming this way. So it is sliding in from the right. This is sliding in from the left. Okay, let's quickly get the next one. I hope you are, maybe I will leave some of them for you to complete them. So the slide up is going to be translate on x-axis. So let me copy it. In this case, okay, let me copy the slide right. Use it for the slide up. So slide up, what I need here is to change this, get the correct name, slide, instead of slide right here, gonna be slide up. So just changing that. This is going to be translate on y-axis. Y-axis. So translating from y-axis is going to be, let me change this one to be, let me reduce it to 6 seconds. Then let the animation name be slide up. Animation name here also slide up. What I need to do here is changing this to y-axis, and then it is on y-axis as well here, 0. Maybe you're not yet seeing the effect. You could see it now, slide up, moving up using 6 seconds. So you could see that this one stopped before these two, because these two, I gave them 7 seconds. This is 6 seconds. Similarly, I'm going to use the same thing for the slide down. So for the slide down, what I need to do is, maybe I need to be commenting this, but just to slide down from up. That is it. So for this one, what I need to do here is to say minus 100%, and it is moving from that minus 100% to 0% on the y-axis. Slide down. Let me reload this page. Slide up. Okay. This should be slide down. So to change the name here, slide down. Animation name, this should be slide down. Animation name, slide down. All right. Let me reload this page again. You see it. The up one is going up and the down one is going down. Are you following the gist now? If you have not subscribed on the YouTube page, just subscribe and follow for more tutorial, guys. I hope you are enjoying this. Your web page is becoming more dynamic, much more interactive, and there's sort of life being added to the web page. Okay, so stay tuned as we finish up the other boxes to give them the effect they should take. The scale up, scale down, fade in, rotate, hover effects, as well as this last one. Maybe I will allow you do the rest and then go to the multiple animation effects. So, but as time permits, let's see the much you can do. All right, I'll quickly go for the fading effect and allow you do both the scale up, scale down, as well as the rotate animation. So for the fade in effect, let's call the proper element. The name should be dot fade in. So while I call it, I'm making the opacity to be set at 0. When I do that, you should see the effect. This fade in, the opacity, I'm setting it to be at 0. You will no longer see it. It has disappeared because the opacity is set at 0. Now, let me add the background color for this one to be the green that you are seeing. The green color we've been using here. Okay. Then let me give the color itself to be white. FFF. And lastly, animation. So, animation. This animation is using one line to write both the animation timing function, the animation duration, the animation name, animation delay, and the iteration count. All right. So let me just use the animation to write all what I need here. What I need, the animation name should be fade in. Then let it fade in under 5 seconds, and the duration should be forwards. All right. What I need now is just to get at keyframe. So at keyframe that I will need to do here is no longer motion from this to this, no longer transform, but opacity. That's what I need. So I'm getting the opacity. Opacity should be set at 0 initially. And then it is moving to opacity set at 1 within that 5 seconds. Remember, you could see it. Let me get the keyframe name, fade in. The animation name. So fade in. You could see it. At this point, let me reload the page and you see it fade out and then fade in. So it comes up, it reveals itself. That's one of the properties you could use to maybe add liveliness to your web page. All right. So I want us to go down to the multiple animation in CSS. So I leave you to do this part, the rotate effect, and maybe the hover effect. Yeah, you can still do that. The hover effect, rotate effect, scale up and scale down. So do those 4 on your own, and I expect to see your output. I know you're going to do it very well following this tutorial. So I want to get this bouncing circle. So for this circle, what I expect to do here, I call the circle using dot circle. Dot circle. Let me hope the circle is the name. Okay, dot circle. All right. I would like to give it a width of about, that's a different width, because I want to make it circle, 250 pixels. Height should be same, 250 pixels. What next? Let me give it a background color of, maybe let me use gold. Yeah. And then let me give it a color of this would do. Let me see the effect of what you are doing. That's what this thing you're seeing here. Maybe I will change to darken this color. Okay, I would like to bring my text to the center. Let me use display flex to bring it to the center. Display flex, justify content, center, and align items, center, simple. You could see the effect now. Everything is on the center. I want to make it a round circle. So let me use border radius. Border radius should be set at 50%. All right. So I hope you are following, you're keying in, you're enjoying it at this point. Now you could see the bouncing circle here. All I need to do now is to maybe make it to bounce. Yeah. All right. So let's see how we can do that by adding the animation effects here. Animation, and the animation should be using the name bounce. Let it iterate on 0. Let me say 1 second, and then let it be iteration count be infinite. All right. There will be no effect you see on it now until I use at keyframe to set it so that it continues to bounce and then it goes on. So what I will now do is to say at keyframes, let me just copy this at keyframes. What I need to do is to change the animation name to bounce. So bounce, this time around, I'm not moving from this to this. What I need to do is to say when it is at 0%, it should be able to transform. And the transform should be for it to translate on y-axis. So translate on y-axis and let it be 0. Let me copy this into other more, maybe 3 places. You see why it is with multiple effects. So here at 50%, let it translate on minus 20. Yeah, 20 pixels. That'll be good. 20 pixels. Then, excuse me, at 100%, let it still remain at 0. Let's see if that's effective now. You could see it bouncing. And you could see the bounce not very fast. Maybe I use 0.1 seconds. That is 0.1 seconds. You could see that the bounce will change. It will now very fast. You're seeing it very fast. If you want such, you could do that. You can as well increase it. So let me go back to making it 1 second. So it is now bouncing with ease. Bouncing with ease. All right. That's adding liveliness to your web page. And that goes on. So the last one, which is this box, the wiggle, 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 wiggle. So let me call it. All right. So I'm copying this to call it here. So dot what I copied, wiggle. I want to give it a width of about, just as I did to this, almost everything, almost everything. So let me copy everything here and change the ones I don't need. So which is going to be 250 pixel high, 250 pixel. Let the background be ash. Let me use this green I've been using here. Then the color should be white, which is still the same as this. So FFF. So make it pure white. Then displaying it as flex. Just file item center, just content center. I do not want it to be round. So let me make it a box, a curved edges square box. Curved edges square box of about 20 pixels. All right. What I need here now is to add transition and not animation. So let there be a transition on the background color. Transition, just like we did to the first one. So background, background, ground color should take about 0.5 seconds to transit. So as it is moving, changing from this color to another color, which is the hover color I'm going to add to it. So dot wiggle, that's what I wanted to paste. So dot wiggle. When I hover on it, what should happen? Let the background color change to something deeper. Maybe this. And then the last thing is animation. I don't need keyframes for this. So animation, what I want is give it vehicle, animation name, and then make it 7 seconds. And then, yeah, I think I'll still use that keyframes. So when I hover on it, so I will get the vehicle and then give it its description using at keyframes. All right, so at keyframes, using the identifier vehicle, which is the name I gave to it, vehicle. So in this case, what happens? I expect that at 0% as well as 100%, there should be a transform. Excuse me. You should be able to transform using rotate, and the rotate at this point should be 0 degrees. So it does not rotate at this point when it is 0 or 100%. So the next one I will need to add here, let me just copy this. I'll make it into more, but 4 more places or 3 more places. So this, and this. So this one should be at 25%. I want it to transform, uh, and the rotate should be minus 15 degrees. That would do. Let this one be at 50%, or rather, let me use 55%. Then let it transform 15 degrees. So returning, it moves this way, move this way. You will see the effect of using this. And then the next one would be at 75%. And I will get it again at 95%. That's shortly before the 100%. So at 75%, I expect it to transform minus 10 degrees. And then lastly, at 95%, hope you're following, you should be able to transform exactly rotating on 10 degrees. Maybe you could see it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It goes down. So that is it. This happens only when I hover on it. I didn't put the animation on wiggle itself. I did it to be, I added it on hover when there is a hover effect on it. But now I decided to cut it out, and you could see it. It's no longer when I hover on it. It is happening not when I hover on it. And it is not happening infinitely like this very one. All right, all right. If you find this very tutorial very useful, try and hit the notification bell for more of these tips. So remember, having talked after this transition and animation effects, I expect you to finish up the ones that I did not do. The scaling up, scaling down, which will shrink the page or the box, as well as the rotate effect and then the hover effect. You could tap inspiration from this rotate effect I use here using wiggle, you know. So enjoy it. For the next tutorial, we are expected to learn how to create form, a very dynamic form, and then work with it. Form that could be submitted and then use it to fill your details.